It be that R, it be that A, it be that I. Our defense bang, D. It be that E, it be that R, it be that S. On our chest that got us far. We be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, just win, be that hater. We be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders. Give me a stack, I'ma turn it to some racks. LA didn't wanna give us our home, but LV got us on the map. That be a fact, I bet it all on silver and black. Hard Clarkson at Mad Max got me Emmett, I've been down since the 90s. You don't want the black hole, homie, don't try me. Raiders roll deep, some say that we grind me. But we bring the revenue every time we grind in third and summon. Wallace gone, Brett Fro caught it and now he's spinning. Mariota on third, he's sprinting. R.I.P. Madden, Al Davis, and all of the Raiders fans that we lost since the beginning. It be that R, it be that A, it be that I. Our defense bang, D. It be that E, it be that R, it be that S on our chest that got us far. We be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, just win, be the hater. We be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders, we be them Raiders.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Raider Nation, what's going on? Happy Friday. Thank you guys for stopping in. Protect the Shield podcast. I'm your boy Chris, where my opinions might not always be popular, but they'll always be authentic. Guys, today is my birthday, man. I got an early birthday gift. I got the one and only Hondo Carpenter in the building, award-winning journalist for Sports Illustrated. A great man, very great at his job. I'm so excited to have him on. So without further ado, Hondo, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Chris, first of all, happy birthday to you, my friend. It's great to be on. I sure have a lot of respect for you and your audience, and I appreciate you just giving me a little bit of your time.
Man, I'm glad to have some of your time. So thank you so much, man. So for anyone that's kind of been under a rock, Hondo has an amazing article that he just dropped yesterday. And we're not going to talk about the specific details of it because I want you guys to make sure you go and go read his article. He dropped some nuggets. I know a lot of us in Raider Nation talk about these things, specifically, kind of the relationship between, McDaniels and Ziegler. Hondo breaks it down, 10 of the top disagreements that they had, and it made so much sense after reading that. So Hondo, I want to say, first of all, thank you for that work. It was excellent. But what got you to that point where you wanted to really deep dive into that?
Well, first of all, Chris, one of the things I want you to know real quick that I appreciate about you is I love Raider Nation, the fans. Now, I'm not a fan.
Right.
And I know that makes people angry when I say that, but when I go for news, I don't like news from people that are fans because I want people to give me the information. Don't treat me like an idiot and tell me what I'm supposed to think.
Let me digest.
Give me the information and then allow me to scramble it, and bobulate it, and then to make a decision about what I think. And so as a reporter, there are two different kinds of people. First of all, there are fans. And I love that YouTube and StreamYard and X and Instagrams and all this have opened doors for fans to have a bigger platform.
Right.
I've heard some members of the media bemoan it. I disagree.
Yeah.
I totally disagree. I think it's awesome And here's why. Because just because somebody's a fan doesn't mean they have an irrelevant opinion.
Right.
And for media that likes to just tell people what to think, it really neutralizes them. But for media that do their job the right way, my job is not to create news. My job is to report news. And so for those of us that do it the right way, and I'm certainly not the only one, but those of us that do it the right way, we then give platforms like Protecting the Shield. We give you the information then to go say, okay, here's a reporter we trust. This is what they tell us. We've learned to trust them. So now we can chew it, digest it, and together come up with an opinion. I love that. I think it's great. So when you say, what made you decide to do that article? I don't think if you're a real journalist and you had the information that I had, that you couldn't have done it.
Right.
And I hear people say all the time, I hear people say this all the time. Oh, if he reports that, they're going to kick him out of the building. I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I'm a member of the Pro Football Writers Association, and I've done this for decades. Not years, not months, decades. Number two, the Raiders are one of the most professional franchises that there are.
Right.
And they're not kicking me out for reporting truth.
Right.
They're not kicking me out. I don't make it personal. I'll give you a great example if you don't mind, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I have a lot of respect for you, so this is why I want to. I'm
Absolutely.
not meaning to monopolize your podcast.
No, absolutely. It's all yours.
I want to give you two examples of that. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I get a ton of criticism when I say Josh McDaniels didn't lose the locker room. Okay? Now, I want to explain a couple things to you. I'm in that locker room.
Right.
I can't tell you the number of guys that said to me, man, I'm frustrated. And Chris, you follow my reporting. I said for a long time, they're frustrated, but he hasn't lost them.
Right.
That was truthful.
Right.
Mark Davis was going to the guys, talking to them before he fired Josh. And they were frustrated, and they voiced their frustration. But they hadn't turned on him.
Right.
You may remember when he gets fired, you heard the guys, man, I wish it would have worked out. Wish him
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
but that.
Absolutely. Devontae was still talking highly about him.
I want to give one more point.
Yeah.
5 different players called or texted me with all the heat I've taken from the fans and said, I want you to know that's why I love you. That's why I appreciate you, because you're telling the truth and you don't care if you get ripped.
Right.
And you're still telling the truth. Now here's my point. People will say, well, Hondo liked Josh. I do. Known him a long time. He's not the arrogant person that he was in Denver.
Right.
He was so focused on his process that, like one player said, he was clueless.
Right. About what's going on around him.
But that doesn't make him a bad human. So
Absolutely.
People will always say to me, oh, look at Hondo kissing Josh's butt even after he's fired. No. But when I see people calling him McDummy,
oh my God,
McDumbass, and a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I understand I'm a professional. I'm able to understand he should have been fired. I'm able to understand he didn't do a good job. You could see what he wanted to do.
Right. He couldn't execute it.
But couldn't happen. No, follow me for a moment, if you will. I'm not trying to monopolize your podcast.
Oh, no. Go ahead. It's you. It's you.
I feel like you do such a good job. I want your audience to be enlightened. I want them to walk away saying, I disagree with Hondo, but now I at least have been talked to in a respectful manner to understand.
Absolutely.
Okay. One of the biggest stars on this team, and I apologize to your fans. Let me just take a quick spray here.
Yeah, no problem.
One of the biggest stars on this team I think it was Monday, but I've had a lot going on. So if it wasn't Monday, I'm not lying. But send me a text. Do you mind if I read it to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I had done a national interview on Monday afternoon before Monday Night Football. Hey, bro, just wanted to tell you, I appreciate you keeping it real and telling the truth, regardless of the blank people give you. When people say we quit, that impugns my character. When people say we quit, that means I'm a quitter. I didn't get to where I'm at because I quit. I've never quit on anything in my life. I could care less what people say about you. You're telling the truth, and I love you for that. Thank you for not throwing me and every member of my team under the bus by saying we quit. We all know the truth. We didn't quit. Thank you for keeping it 100. Okay?
Love it.
So I understand fans are emotional because they're fans. Comes from fanatic. There's nothing right. It doesn't make them not intelligent. It doesn't make them not smart. But here's what would concern me. It would concern me when a media member is talking about everything being perfect, and then a coach leaves, then they tell the truth.
Right.
Okay. If you go back, I was consistently asking very difficult questions, poignant questions. After 20 games, I then hold the coach to a different standard, regardless of who the coach is.
Yep.
I was very hard on Josh. Okay. But they didn't quit. So when fans get mad at me or want to mock me, I don't mind it.
Right.
But as a media member, if I was to change that narrative, I would be disingenuous.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. You want to know why I like you, Chris?
Why?
Because people don't have to agree with you on everything. You're not out there looking to get your ego stroked.
Exactly.
But you're genuine.
Yep.
You're sincere. And to me, we live in a society anymore with whether it's news, politics, sports, weather.
Yeah.
We are so tribalized.
Yeah, we can't.
That we'll give up sincerity. We'll give it up. We'll give up sincerity for people who just agree with me.
Absolutely.
And I'll give you another one. So I had several people send me extremely racist remarks saying I only supported Josh because he's white like me. To which I asked them, but what about my half Filipino, half black son? Does that mean I hate him? What about my black grandchildren? Do I hate them? What about my Native American nieces and nephews? Do I hate them? And my point was, we now live in a time that if I disagree with someone, I got to attack them. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing, and then I want to get to one other example, and I'm going to give you all the time you need.
Yeah.
And so I have taken a lot of heat, and I'm fine with it because my job is to just report the truth.
Right.
If you want to say, "Hey, Hondo, I disagree with you. Look at how the players changed the way they played for AP. I think he lost it." I'm good with that.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yep.
But as a guy that's in the room, that's constantly talking to players almost every day.
Yeah.
Who's around them on the record. Now, I'll give you another example. Max Crosby and several other players last year after the season said, we haven't quit on him. We support him.
Right.
Okay. I can't tell you, and I'm not talking about Max, how many players after the year, man, I'm really hoping coach looks at some stuff this year and gets it. Now, I'll give you one example. My wife and I are out to dinner with a player and his significant other.
Mm-hmm.
And we get done. We get in the car. My wife says to me, wow, that guy really is a Josh McDaniels fan, isn't he? I said, yeah. She goes, I knew they hadn't quit because she knows people.
Yeah.
She goes, but I didn't realize it. They really, that guy really likes him as a person. And he's wishing he'd get better as a coach. I said,
right.
That's it, hon. And so my whole point to you, and this isn't let's build Hondo up.
Right.
I want your listeners to understand I could change. I could say, oh, yeah, he lost it. And everyone would be, woo.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Before Josh McDaniels hit 20 games, I was getting criticized. Oh, you're just because you like Josh, you're never going to tell the truth. You're a supporter. No, I give coaches 20 games because that way they get their players in. That way they have a chance to adjust.
Right.
And then after 20 games, we can really see who a person is.
Right.
I just report it, and then I let you disseminate. I'll give you one other example if you don't mind. And I think this is a really, really good one. And I think it's an important one. Is I'm trying to get how I want to word this. So let's talk about Mark Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely like him. He is in a very difficult spot.
Right.
His father was not just a successful coach and commissioner who won multiple Super Bowls. His father is a piece of Americana.
Absolutely.
He is a legend.
Absolutely.
I have a very successful father who passed away several years ago. He was very successful in business. He was a tremendous dad. Love him dearly. Miss him every single day. But my father was a warrior, businessman, dad, all of it. But my father wasn't a piece of Americana where 90% of Americans are going to know who he is.
Yeah.
That is a huge shadow over Mark.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark has proven to be 100 times better businessman than his father.
I say that all the time. Yep.
Okay. He is not the football guy that his father was, but his father wasn't the football guy that he was the last multiple years of his life.
Absolutely.
And I respect Mark because he is one of the few billionaires, and I know a few, whose ego is not in the way of admitting, I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
So he goes and gives Gruden a 10-year, $100 million deal. Why? Because he believed in him. Okay. Then he goes and gives a $60 million deal to Josh McDaniels. He said, I'm willing to put my money up to give you what you need.
Right.
And then here's the second area. After the Patriots game, which I said was the biggest game of Josh McDaniels' career.
Mm.
And I said, if they beat the Patriots and somehow go on a run and win the Super Bowl, the Patriots game is going to be the biggest of his career.
Right.
Now, I had fans rip me. Okay. That's because they don't know all the details.
Right.
And so I'm fine with that. But that's why I'm careful about being critical. Sometimes you'll see me in my podcast or in my writing say, boy, that didn't look good, but I want to wait and talk to them after the game. So I'll give you an example. One time I criticized a quarterback till the player came to me, not a Raider. This was years ago.
Yeah.
And said, listen, I'll tell you what, it's Kirk Cousins.
Oh, okay.
And Kirk came to me and said, no, thanks for criticizing me. I made a bad throw, because that's how Kirk is.
Yeah.
And then the player came to me and said, Kirk's covering my ass. I ran the wrong route.
Mm.
Okay, so I go to Kirk, say, hey, Kirk, I'm sorry. He goes, no. I'd rather you, Chris. I said, no, I'm going to make it right. And he goes, please don't. Please don't. Okay, but the point is, I learned a lesson. And since I have access to these people, I'm always going to wait and get more information. So now back to the Patriot game. I was aware that if he lost to the Patriots, he's probably going to lose his job.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
So if he had lost, there wasn't going to be the chance to get the team back on course.
Right.
Afterwards, Mark Davis gives assurances to these guys they're going to keep their jobs. Okay?
Yeah.
You're going to get the rest of this year and next year.
Yep.
So I'm asked, what are the chances that they get fired? To which I said, you never say never in the National Football League.
Right.
So I would say 5%. Now I'm going to ask you a question. You and I talk.
Mm-hmm.
You knew I was coming on your show today.
Absolutely.
If somebody would have said to you, because I saw you advertised as coming on.
Yeah.
If somebody would have said to you, what's the chances Hondo's coming on?
Yeah, I would.
100%.
Yeah, because that's what I know. That's what you told me. Yeah.
You probably would have said, 95, because you never
Right.
say never.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And then if I would have just not shown up or been sick and gone to the hospital with my wife,
People would have been.
you
in
would have
my-
said, oh man. And then people would have said, hey, Chris is a liar.
Exactly.
So my whole thing is I don't defend myself, and I'm not defending myself here.
Right.
I'm trying to give because you have a very intelligent group of people that watch you.
Mhm.
I'm trying to give you the information so you can understand what goes into it. And so that's why I held those opinions.
Right.
That's why. And so now you ask me, why, what made you write this? Well, I don't know how I couldn't.
Yeah.
Just
You had all that
like,
info.
just like, how do I not write? How am I not critical of Josh when my job is to cover the team? I like him. I like Josh McDaniels a lot.
Right.
I guarantee, Chris, if you sat down to have a beer with Josh, you'd get off that table and go, man, I wish it would have worked out. I don't want him back.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Wish it would have. And so I have to ask those stuff. So here's the funny part. Prior to the 20th game, Hondo's a shill. After the 20th game, oh, Hondo, he's so tough on Jai. No,
Yeah, you kept
I'm
it
the same
real.
guy.
You kept it real. Yeah. You gave him the 20 games. And
let me tell you this. Whoever the next coach, and dear God, I hope it's AP.
Me too.
Whoever the next coach is, I'm going to give him 20 games.
Right.
So I don't want to hear, oh, Hondo hated this guy or didn't. No, I'm going to give him 20. And then after 20, you turn the heat up.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden now. And so why did I write it? Because when you do my job, and if you do it right, and I don't think I'm the only one, you have an obligation. See, when I go in that locker room, Chris, I take you. When I go in that locker room, I take your audience.
Yeah.
When I go in that locker room, I take guys in the military.
Yeah. Your eyes and
who are
ears.
Raider fans around the world.
Absolutely.
I'm doing an interview today on a German-American football show. And in Germany, I take those fans with me.
Yep.
I take all Raider Nation with me. And here's the one biggest thing. They don't have to agree with me. But I want them to know when Hondo walks out of that locker room or Hondo walks out of that game or Hondo gets done covering the team today, he's going to treat me with respect. He's going to show and tell me what I can't walk in and get.
Right.
And like that text, most fans aren't getting those texts from players.
Right.
They don't have the access. So it's my job to protect the player, but to also share it. And that's the only thing I pray every day. I pray this every single day. Every single day. Did it this morning. Lord, help me to be the eyes and ears of Raider Nation, to present to them the great information with integrity and character. That's my prayer every single day.
Love it.
That's why I wrote that article.
Okay.
And I hope it resonated with Raider Nation.
It did. I have so I have a network of other content creators that we just started. We call ourselves the Raider Syndicate, and guys that I really, really respect. And we have conversations all the time. Just kind of wanting to wish we had that behind the scenes access. And literally, it was probably just last week, when we were just kind of having conversation about, kind of what went wrong, who's kind of to blame. And we literally was kind of talking like, man, I wish there was a way we knew kind of what McDaniels thought compared to what Ziegler thought. And then for you to come out with this, I mean, it was just like, wow, and you broke it down so perfectly, and as I read it, one of the things I always wondered, and you hit on it, is after the season, after the whole car thing, why didn't we, keep, Jared Stidham? Why was it such a big deal to go get Jimmy? I know, as you said in one of your podcasts, that the plan was to get Tom Brady.
Yep.
That fell through for whatever reason, a personal reason. But in my mind, I'm like, why didn't we keep Stidham? And then when I read your article, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. So really, I mean, just as I read, one of the big things that I know a lot of people probably ask you is, if Ziegler is the general manager, how come he just didn't put his foot down, a little bit harder? And I'm sure you probably hear that, a lot since you wrote this. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to give a couple of things. First of all, I have been a very loud advocate that I believe Mark Davis needs to go hire a general manager.
Yeah.
And let the general manager pick the coach. I'm big on that. I believe in that. The last two coaches were coaches that picked the general manager. It doesn't work.
Right.
And so when you hire your coach and he gets the general manager, then your general manager is already in a subservient position. Now, I'm going to say a couple things here. I like Dave Ziegler and I like Josh McDaniels.
Right.
I believe Mark Davis could have put them in a better position to succeed by clearly delineating
who's who,
the standard of authority. But you heard Dave Ziegler say this publicly. Mark Davis said, "Do you think you can get us Josh McDaniels?" If I'm the GM. And so that is the position Dave was in. Now, I'm going to be very blunt.
Okay.
I don't think either man should be the head coach of the Raiders or the general manager. They failed.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard some people have written and said, "Oh, Hondo's just trying to cover Ziegler." I'm not trying to cover anybody. I said they deserve to lose their job.
Right.
Should Dave have walked into Mark and say, "Listen, I realize that I basically work for Josh, but if I'm going to have the GM role, these are some big areas we disagree. Can you give us some defining?" And if Mark wouldn't have, and I think Mark would have, but if Mark wouldn't have, then that's when Dave says, "You know what? I'm going to back away and slip out.
Yeah, it's not for me." Yep, exactly.
Because there are too many decisions being made that I vehemently disagree with that are going to hurt me in my future. And so I blame them both. And why didn't he? I think there's a two-part component.
Okay.
Everybody works for somebody.
Right.
Now, I have a really exceptional boss. Now, Chris, you can tell your audience because you know me and they don't. I wouldn't say that if it weren't true.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
My boss tells me your job's to get the information and report it. Okay. That's what I do.
Right.
And some people have bosses, though, that will have agendas. I know a guy who works for a different media organization. He does not cover the Raiders. And his boss has told him, "You will not write an article critical of XYZ." Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've said to my buddy, who's a good friend, "Why do you stay there?"
Right.
He goes, "Well, because I understand my role. I don't tell people I'm a journalist or a reporter anymore."
Yeah. At that point, you're not.
He goes, I don't say it.
Yeah.
I say I covered the team.
Yeah.
And he does. And it's hilarious. I've watched interviews before, and I tell him, "You are a magician. Boy, you move yourself."
Well, you work the worst.
Okay. But my job is to go to, and so Dave Ziegler, I believe, no, I'm going to go a step farther. I believe had he walked into Mark's office and said, "Listen, this, and this, I love Josh. I want Josh to succeed. But I need you to help me because if you want me to do this, I need you to delineate this. I need you to step in and say, here's the deal, Dave, you're the judge." If he would have done that, I believe he'd still be here. In fact, I put in the article, I think both men would be here. Number one. Number two, so not only is there the dynamic that he basically works for Josh, then there's a dynamic, this is my best friend. Now, that's a big deal. And I think both Josh and Dave are Midwest guys, and they come with Midwest values. And they're not cutthroat people.
Right.
People say, "Well, Josh was," and I think in Denver he was. I do.
Yeah.
He wasn't that way here. And I'll be glad to talk about the number, how Aiden got number 4, if you want to talk about that.
Oh man, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
But there's also that, okay, this is my first GM job and that's my best friend.
Yeah.
So I just think it was, I don't think Mark Davis did anything malicious because he's not a football guy.
Right.
But I think he should have been able, or at least now will identify, I got to go with the GM and separate a coach. I need to make clear who the boss is. And even if they are friends, tell them right up front, you want to hire your friend? Great. But friend, he's the boss.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
So, and I remember the press conference, and you even stated in the article, I mean, Ziegler, when he was asked who kind of makes the final say, he actually said, you know, kind of everything's going to go through me. So it's like, it seems like he understood it, but was he just saying that? Or did he really believe it, or did he really feel empowered?
In the article I wrote, Dave Ziegler didn't need Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels needed him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there were some things that Josh genuinely believed. But when he got back in the seat, he maybe decided, okay, well, I appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for your opinion, but this is what I think.
Okay.
And I wrote in the article something that I'm surprised it got picked up nationally, but not as much in Raider Nation. And that's when I talked about Josh. People close to Josh told me almost as soon as he got the job, it was like PTSD. He was afraid to lose his job again. And Ziegler was, this guy just brought us in for 6 years.
Yeah, let's
fix the franchise.
Let's build it. Yeah, let's build it from the ground up. Yeah.
And whereas McDaniels took the, oh my God, I don't want to get fired approach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the two dichotomized opinions and Josh's fear of getting fired said, okay, I appreciate you, Dave, but no, we're going this way. I don't think Dave Ziegler lied at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, like anything, how many times have you seen two people get married?
Yeah.
And one of them, I say this to men all the time. I thoroughly love my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I married out of my league. I just love her. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous on the outside and 10 times prettier on the inside. I love her. And so I say this to men all the time. The way you keep a happy marriage is don't ever stop dating your wife.
Absolutely.
And I date her, but we both know people who get married and they change. They take the other one for granted.
Yeah.
They ignore the other. You know, I was up this morning. We're doing this real early in the morning, but I was up this morning. I already had interviews today. I made her lunch. She's a trauma nurse, but I made her lunch because I'm not going to be able to take care of her. She's not feeling well. But why? Because I wanted to take care of her.
Yeah.
It's same principle. I think that this was a marriage and it changed when the PTSD or whatever you want to call it with Josh hit.
Then, yeah.
I don't think Josh lied to Dave. I don't think Dave lied to the public. I think just like I don't think Mark Davis lied when he told him you're going to get next year.
Yeah. Things change. Yeah. No, I agree.
I hope I'm answering your question.
Oh, no, you are. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So another thing that I've always wondered. So how would you compare the dynamic or relationship of Ziegler and McDaniels compared to Gruden and Mayock, kind of how they worked together, made decisions and things like that?
That is a great question. Nobody's ever asked me. So I want to. Okay. So let's start with Gruden and Mayock. I covered the Big Ten before I moved to Las Vegas when the Raiders moved to Las Vegas to cover the Raiders. So I've been covering the Raiders 4 years. I covered the Big Ten Conference and college sports. And anyone around the Big Ten knew about all of the issues with Damon Arnett.
Yeah.
All of them.
I live in Ohio. I knew.
Okay. And let me just say, there's a lot that aren't even public.
Yeah.
Okay. I know multiple teams. When I say multiple, over 10, that they had Damon Arnett off their draft board.
I bet.
Meaning, if he was an undrafted free agent, they would not have signed him.
I bet.
Okay. I don't know of any team. There were 2 that I didn't talk to prior to the draft. And I didn't know of any team that had him before a 5th round grade.
Woo.
Okay.
Woo.
And that's only a handful. That's not even double digits. Okay.
Jeez.
So John Gruden knew what he liked. He likes the tough, physical.
Yeah, physical. Yeah.
Okay? And I love Gruden for that because I love old school football. Okay. He's friends with Urban.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, this guy's going to be all right. This guy's going to be all right. And so Mayock is telling him.
Right.
And Gruden, he's physical. He's tough. Urban loves him. And it was a disaster. And so I think you saw a lot with Gruden. And let me just say for the record, I really like John. If you go back and watch his press conferences when he was with the Raiders, you can see him saying to me in front of everybody, I really like you, because I think he appreciated the way I.
Oh, yeah. You guys had a great, I could tell. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I really like John. I like him as a man, a father. Someone says, well, what about what he did? Well, I'm going to tell you something, Chris. This may come as a shock to you. You're black.
Yeah.
This may come as a shock to you. I'm white. I'm going to bet in anyone of any color, black, white, red, yellow, brown, we all have things in our background that we're like, man, I regret that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay? We're all going to have things that we've said that we thought were private, that even though we thought they were private, we look back and say, that was wrong.
Right.
That was wrong. And let me just say, I'm raising my hand.
Yeah.
I'm being accountable to your audience.
Me too.
So I know John. I know how many players love him. And should he have said those things? No.
Right.
But he repented and he's moved on. I'm sorry. I don't want to be part of any nation where anybody, whether I like them or not, is unredeemable.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, and I'm not coming on your show to preach, but I'm very open about my faith. And I'm not open about my faith because I think people who don't share it are bad people.
Right.
I share it because I know without Christ, I'm bad people. I'm not preaching it because people who don't have it need it. I'm preaching because
you need it. You feel, yeah.
I need it.
Right.
Because I know me. And
right.
so, anyways, I don't have any axe to grind against John. But what I think, John liked Mayock. Mayock liked him.
Right.
And Mayock was very good at the talent evaluating. But John ruled the roost. And it's like when Al Davis was there. Al ran the Raiders.
Yeah.
John ran
the
Raiders.
Okay.
So Mayock worked for him, but John
ran it. Yeah.
And let me tell you, there was no fear he was getting fired.
Oh, no, absolutely.
The
he
only
knew
way
he could
John Gruden got fired is when the NFL came with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Okay. Ziegler and McDaniels were not just friends. They were teammates.
Okay.
They were best friends. There was a genuine love and care. There was, I say was, but is, a fondness for one another. And the ambiguity and then the friendship. I hope whatever Mark Davis does, and there are 3 kinds of teams. There's a an owner-led team that picks the GM and the coach and says, you're both responsible to me. And to me, that's completely asinine.
Right.
The second one is a coach-led team where a coach picks the general manager.
Yeah.
And I think that works 1%. But you could see places where it works, but it's very minuscule.
Right.
And it fails significantly more than it works. And then the best play, in my opinion, is a GM that picks the coach.
It's the coach, yeah.
Now, having said that, I think if Mark learns anything from John and from Josh, I've hired two guys that I trusted as football people. And when you're a coach, you're so in the forest, you can't see the trees.
Yeah.
So let's back up. Let's back up and let's let a GM handle the day-to-day, handle the decision-making. I hope that's what Mark learned, because I believe this is a legacy-defining hire.
Oh, absolutely.
And I want Mark to succeed. He's a good person. I don't care about his haircut. I don't care. My wife hates this.
Yeah.
And I tell her it's no shave November.
Right.
And someday I'll tell the story of why I did. I've never done no shave November before, but I was actually chided by a couple of professional athlete friends. Come on, you got to do no shave November. And so I did it. But I don't care about his haircut. But I know he's a good man. And I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, me too.
I root for good people.
Yep.
And I want to see Mark Davis, just like Steve Young, when he won a Super Bowl, and you've seen the video from the NFL films where somebody pulled a monkey off my back.
Yeah.
Mark Davis, no matter all the good he's done, is going to be truly his own man.
Yep.
In the eyes of the fans until he wins his own Lombardi.
Yeah.
I hope he does.
Yep.
I want him to, and I'm rooting for him. And so I hope he takes the GM coach approach. And then, so I know that's a long answer to your question.
Oh, no, that's great.
I'm trying to give you all my time and give you all the answers because I have a ton of respect for you, Chris.
No, I appreciate it. That's great. I mean, that really hit home. Kind of going back to like the John and Mayock dynamic. I know a lot of people are wondering. I wonder if a lot of people give praise for some of the later round picks during the Gruden and Mayock.
Mike Mayock.
That's why I was wondering. And was Gruden like the first couple rounds?
I don't know that I would say the first couple rounds.
Okay.
I would just say he knew who he wanted. And when those people are off the board, Mike was able to kind of do his thing.
Okay. That's, yeah. So, and then just going kind of to Josh and Ziegler, there's a lot of controversy about, the first round pick that we got. There was a couple other guys on the board. And I know kind of what you said, where they wanted to go on the first round pick. One wanted Bryce, one wanted Stroud. Neither one of them was available. A lot of people in Raider Nation.
That's not true. That's not true, buddy.
Oh,
the Raiders could have moved up. They knew what the cost was, because now you may remember, and if you don't, this is one thing I love about what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hiding in my mom's basement using a username.
Right.
You can go back and read what I wrote, listen to my podcast, because that's what I love about the digital age. It's all there. I'm accountable.
Yeah.
I wrote, they investigated and knew the cost to move up.
Yeah. Pick one and pick two. Yep.
They could have gotten either one.
Yeah.
Now, there may be some people that come back and say, no, they couldn't have. I'm telling you, and I wrote it at the time.
Yeah.
They could have. Now, so real quick, Dave wanted to hire Jacoby Brissett and keep Jarrett Stidham and move up and get C.J. Stroud. He thought C.J. Stroud, and by the way, Champ Kelly as well, thought C.J. Stroud was a generational talent. Not a talent, a generational talent.
Yeah.
Josh only wanted Bryce Young. And so Dave, and I don't work for Dave. I'm just telling you what I knew.
Right.
Dave, and I learned this from other people, not from Dave, vehemently said, "Oh man, that cost is way too high to move up and get Bryce at 1."
Yeah.
He was trying to talk Josh out of it.
Yeah.
So if Bryce, now, as it got closer and Houston knew their plan and nobody knew it,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have been able to get 2. But at the time, they could have moved up and got 2 earlier in the process. And Dave was saying to Josh, listen, you know, I'm a CJ guy. Our whole scouting department is CJ.
Yeah.
And why move up to 1 if we don't know that what if somebody moves up and takes CJ? I mean, it's too high to move up there to get Bryce.
Right.
And if we go to 2, we don't know that Bryce is going to, drop.
Yeah.
So Dave really did a good job, at least keeping Josh from a mistake.
Okay.
But yes, he was available. They could have moved up.
Okay. So so they could have moved up. Bryce is going, and then they had a decision. They decided not to do it. So when they did stand pat where they were, was there any talks about Jalen Carter at all?
Yeah. Now, I've written about this and talked about it in my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that you know that, but for your audience who maybe doesn't have a clue,
absolutely,
you guys can go back and read and watch what I wrote. And I don't mind being held accountable because nothing's changed. And Chris will tell you that since the draft.
Absolutely.
The reason Jalen Carter dropped was because there was a ton of off the field character issues.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you go back and listen to NFL media, whether it's Schefter or Rappaport or who are all good at what they do, I don't remember who the person was, but it was out there. Jalen Carter's agent was working the Eagles because they knew if the Eagles didn't pick him, he was going to drop
far. Yeah.
Okay? The majority of teams were not taking Jalen Carter in the first round.
Ooh, they were that scared of him.
Not all, but if you go back and look, don't take Hondo's word for it. You could see the reports. Man, Carter's agent working the phones because he knows if Eagles don't select him, he's going to take a free fall. So stick with me for a minute. Henry Ruggs was a guy, no character issues.
Right.
Great kid. Now, I know that if I don't explain that, I'm going to get a ton of criticism from your listeners. Okay? Someone's dead because of his poor decision making. Because he was irresponsible, ignorant, and stupid.
Yeah.
But prior to that incident,
zero concern.
there were no red flags on Henry Ruggs.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now, he can't go back and raise Tina Turner from the dead. That is he's gonna live with that the rest of his life. I'm not in any way saying, oh, you know what? It's okay, Henry. No, he got behind a wheel.
Yeah. Cost someone their life.
So please hear me. I'm in no way. But everyone talking about, oh, they shouldn't have picked Henry. He was an issue. No, he wasn't. In fact, I remember several NFL league executives when they picked him saying, man,
great kid.
He's going to be the best.
Yeah.
He's going to be the best. So I don't fault the Raiders for taking Henry Ruggs. If they'd have picked Jalen Carter, knowing what they knew, and he gets to Vegas, and there's an incident off the field of great proportions. I won't speculate.
Yeah.
Let's just say there was a major issue. Oh, wow, they don't care about character with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say one thing to you. I 110% support, because I know things, them not picking Jalen Carter.
Okay.
They made the right decision for the Raiders. They made the right decision for Raider Nation. And they made the right decision that many other NFL teams would have made. Now follow me for a minute. The Eagles felt like we've got enough of his former teammates here.
Yeah, that can reel him in.
And we believe we have a structure that can control him. Philly's not Vegas.
Right. Right.
And I'm not hating on Philly. I got family in Philly.
Mm.
I want Jalen Carter to make everyone in the world regret their decision.
Yeah.
Because that means the young man grew up.
Yeah.
And what do you hear me say all the time? I believe in people.
Yeah. And you like
I
good
want
people
to do well.
Yeah.
I'm a person. I'm a grace addict. So because I'm a grace addict, I believe in grace for everybody. I want us, when this is over, I hope one day to be sitting in Canton, Ohio, and to shake Jalen's hand and say, man, I'm glad you made 31 NFL teams regret their decision.
Yeah.
And I understand fans, because it's fanatics, live in revisionist history. But I just want you to know, I do not blame, and I support the Raiders. And there was a multiplicity of other NFL teams that weren't going to take Jalen. I hope he succeeds. I'm never going to pile on the guy unless he fails.
Yeah.
But I think it was, even though I understand people's frustration, and I do, because if you don't know all the off the field,
Right.
you're thinking what?
Right.
But, and I'm not going to get into it because I have no reason to pile on the guy. He's been a
Right.
model citizen.
Right. Right.
But I just want to say I support them in that. Now, let me tell you something. I have gotten so much criticism for me saying I support them not taking Jalen. It's been horrible.
Yeah.
But what's my job? I report,
Yeah.
not create.
Yeah.
And so I understand there's a lot of people mad. I don't care. Yeah, you do. You do. You just want to win.
Yeah.
And you look at the draft pick you made who hasn't produced yet.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, man. So
Yeah.
I hope, does that answer your question?
No, it does. No, absolutely. That answers it a lot. And even kind of going to the next step of that, you know, with the draft pick that we did get with Tyree, seems like a great kid. You know, he hasn't developed as of yet. And I know when we got him, we probably didn't think he was going to have to step in as soon as he did due to the Chandler Jones situation. But can you kind of give me some background on how we landed on him? You know, who was for him, who wasn't for him, where Champ Kelly stand in it?
So let me just tell you this. Around the NFL, and I wrote this for a couple of months before the draft, and I know that you know it, Chris.
Yeah.
And so you can tell your fans whether I'm BSing them or not.
Oh, yeah.
Around the NFL, the general consensus
He was safe.
Is that there were two dudes. Now, that's a term used a lot in the NFL.
Yeah.
These are can't miss guys.
Yep. I know who you're going to say.
Some drafts, there are no dudes. There are a lot of guys you think can be good.
Yeah.
But there were two guys that you knew were dudes. No matter what, they're a dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there were two, and I reported that.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, the
Will
first
Anderson.
one was Will Anderson.
Yep.
The second was Tyree Wilson.
Yep. I remember you saying that.
Those are the two dudes. So everybody loved Tyree's. He has a skill set that is phenomenal. The way he can contort his body, move his body, speed, power, all of it. He's a tremendously talented young man. Everyone knew that he was going to take a year to fully recover.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knew he was going to need a year of really good coaching, because when you play at certain colleges, you occasionally play great players.
Right.
But in the NFL, every week it's a great
Every
player.
week. Right.
And so they knew that. Now, there were a ton of people who wanted Tyree. A ton of people. And if you want to blame the Raiders, that's fine, but you better blame a ton of other NFL.
They all want to, yeah.
Just like with Jalen Carter, you want to say, oh, the Raiders missed out. Well, there were a lot of teams that weren't taking Jalen Carter.
That's true too.
And so Tyree comes in, and they were very cautious with him. They actually could have brought him back a little bit earlier. But they're like, we've got Chandler, we got Malcolm, we're golden. Let's just let the kid take his time. And they're playing. And as you know, I reported all this.
No, yeah. Yep.
We're going to let him take his time because we're looking for him in 24 more than 23. So they bring him in. Everything's going fine. He's rehabbing. He's doing well. And the Chandler Jones issue begins to flare up. They know it's going to become a big issue. And it did.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this about Tyree. I've heard people saying, oh, he's like Cleveland Farrell. He sucks. Well, let me ask you a question. How's Cleveland Farrell playing today?
Yeah. He's
okay.
Yeah.
He's playing well.
Yeah.
Number two, they're two totally different players. Totally different.
Mm.
When I hear people saying, oh, they're moving him to defensive tackle because he sucks. First of all, they're not moving him there.
Yeah, that's not his position.
But they are going to have him play some
Yeah.
because they believe if he plays some defensive tackle, it'll help him work with learning how to use his hands. You see, back when he was in college, he didn't have to use his hands.
Right. He
was bigger, faster, stronger than everybody.
Yeah. He'll bull rush you and then get to the quarterback.
And so the move is to help him learn with his hands. He's not a DT.
Right.
And listen, I've been around him a lot. Great kid, by the way. He is a great kid.
Seems like it.
He is. He's just a superhuman being. But that's not him. He's nothing like Clee. And so anybody that says he's Clee Farrell, automatically, in my opinion, I just ignore them because they're ignorant of football.
Mm-hmm.
But second of all, it's not his fault. When he was picked, people knew his situation.
Yeah.
And so what I would say to people is it fair to say that you're disappointed with his performance? Sure. Do you call him a bust? Well, let me just tell you this. There were people 10 games into Peyton Manning's career
calling him a bust.
Calling him a bust.
It's true.
And so I would just say this. We live in a society of instant gratification. Your way, right away, right now.
It's true.
But I'm going to tell you this. I'm sitting here today talking to my buddy Chris as a 52-year-old man. And as a 52-year-old man, I hope I'm not judged by the 15-year-old man, 30, 45, or even my 51-year-old man. And so I would just say this to Raider Nation. And Chris, this is your show. So if you believe I'm being disrespectful to your audience, I want you to call me out.
Oh, no, you're good.
But I don't treat Raider Nation like that. But I would say this to Raider Nation. One thing that surprises me about Raider Nation is they have a tendency to eat their own. And you guys, in my opinion,
and
please hear this. If you're mad at me, please let me finish.
Oh, no, I agree 1,000%.
But let me just say this. Toronto Maple Leaf fans are the best fans in professional hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota Golden Gopher fans are the best in college hockey. Indiana University fans are the best and most intelligent in college basketball. Nebraska Cornhusker fans are the best fans, meaning when I say best, not loudest and proudest only, that includes the most intelligent. They know the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In NBA basketball, I think it's without a doubt. Laker fans are the most intelligent. They know the game backwards, forward. I've talked to Irvin about this. I've talked to other people that I know who play in the association. The best. In baseball, it's St. Louis Cardinal fans. Not even close.
Wow.
They are the most knowledgeable. And in the National Football League, the most knowledgeable are Raider fans. So I have the utmost respect for Raider Nation. Without Raider Nation, I don't have a job. I was asked recently by a media member, why do you do fans podcasts? I'll tell you exactly why. Because when it all boils down to it, y'all are my bosses. If you don't click, you don't watch, and you don't read, and you don't listen, I don't have a job. I'm not walking up to my bosses and pissing in their Wheaties. They deserve respect. And so what I'm saying, I want you to know I'm saying respectfully. The only thing I don't understand about Raider Nation, and I'll never understand it because they're the smartest football people in the NFL, is they eat their own.
That's so true.
I have watched Raider fans fight in the audience, in a stadium. I've watched them attack and slur and go after each other because they disagree on Derek Carr, or because they like one guy and don't like another. And I'm going to say something to you, Nation,
Man.
And I hope you hear me. I'm spending an hour today, and Chris will tell you, and you guys will know because you'll see me all over the country. I'm giving an hour to you guys, and I'm giving national radio, national television, or national podcast 10 minutes because you're my bosses. They're not. And what I would say to you is you can disagree with people. My dad used to always say, because I come from a family with a lot of children, he'd say, kids, in these doors, we disagree. When we walk outside those doors,
we're united.
We're kinfolk.
Love it. Love it.
We're kinfolk. And I'm going to say this to Raider Nation. I don't have a problem if you disagree with each other. And it doesn't matter if I did have a problem. You have the right to do whatever you want. Right. But the next time you get ready to hit send or get ready to yell at somebody, that's your kinfolk. I'm going to tell you something about your kinfolk. You ain't got to like them all. You ain't got to want to spend Thanksgiving with them. But at the end of the day, they're your kinfolk. Oh, yeah. So I don't understand that. I have tried to understand it. I know I really have. Because, and someone said, is it a race issue? It has nothing to do with race. But it has everything to do with, it is such a big fan base that the national media knows we can write anything about the Raiders. Click, 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 click. Oh, yeah. Click, click, click. Oh, yeah. And so they don't care if they divide you. Yeah. I'm gonna. Can I have a few minutes? I know we've gone long. Are we okay? Take your time. Take your time. I'm going to say this. In America, we are constantly being told what we disagree about. We're Americans. And I do not believe the establishment political parties, of which I do not consider myself a Republican or Democrat. I'm an independent. But I don't believe any of the political class wants us to get along. Right. Okay. I'm going to tell you something. I have learned, and I'm 52, there is so much more that we agree on. That now we live in a society of, I'll give you an example. Several years ago, I think it was the Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup. And one of the players, and again, if I'm wrong and it wasn't Pittsburgh, I'm not lying. I think it was Pittsburgh. One of the members said, I'm not going to the White House. Obama doesn't speak for me. Shut up. He's the president of the United States. Go to the White House. Now, there were tons of people, woo, love that guy. I thought he was an idiot. Now, wait a minute. Years later, and I don't remember what team it was, somebody didn't want to go to the White House because it was Trump. Yeah, probably the Spurs. I don't remember who it was, but I can tell you this. Shut up. It's the president. It's there for the office. It's there from the recognition of your team. I understand there are people that didn't agree with Obama and people that didn't agree with Trump. That's not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is, at what point are we Americans?
Right.
At what point? I'm going to share this with you. 16 months ago, I'm sorry, Chris. 16 months ago, a nurse handed me my son.
Mm.
My wife didn't carry him in her belly, but he's my son.
Mm.
I don't care that he's half black and half Filipino. I have kids that disagree with me on politics. Here's what I know. I love my kids. And I love my son. We named him Dexter Ernest Wayne Carpenter.
Mm.
The word Dexter is from my great-grandfather, his great-great.
Mm-hmm.
Ernest from my grandfather, his great-grandfather. And Wayne from my dad, his grandfather. Because we wanted him to know, you don't have our chromosomes. And you don't got our color.
You're
You're
still,
my son.
yeah. Yep.
And you are their grandson.
Yep.
And you are forever a Carpenter. And I just sometimes watch Raider Nation, and I love vehemently disagreeing with people.
Yeah.
That's America. Free speech doesn't mean only for me.
Yeah.
Free speech means for the people I disagree with.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I would encourage the nation, don't eat your own.
Yeah.
You can tell someone, man, what are you thinking you want Derek Carr back? Or what do you mean you didn't want Derek Carr?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be you stupid.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And so for me, I have so much respect for the nation. And Chris, you know me. Am I lying?
No, absolutely.
I have so much respect. It's why I bumped people to do this interview.
Right.
It's why, because you're my bosses.
Right.
I just wish sometimes they would understand. Okay, sometimes we got an uncle who's a little weird.
Yeah, he's still
but he's
family.
still my kinfolk.
Right.
I just wish that they would approach it that way. My good friend Wayne Mabry, the Violator.
Yeah.
And what a great guy he is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know why he is loved around the NFL? You want to hear a great story about him?
Yeah.
Do you know he's not out there dropping F-bombs and throwing batteries at people?
Yeah.
Okay. And I can't tell you how many people around the National Football League talk about he is probably the best fan in the NFL. He is loud. He gets in your ear. He irritates you. But he is such a great guy. You know why so many players, owners go up to him, shake his hand, dab him up? Because they love that he loves the game.
Yeah.
And they all know he's a Raider. He ain't rooting for a Bronco. Okay? But did you know Pat Bowlen, when he was owner of the Broncos, went to him every game and greeted him?
Wow.
And Wayne is the greatest example. By the way, and let me just say, and I'm biased because I'm his friend.
Mm-hmm.
He's a tremendous human being.
Yeah.
I love Wayne. I love Wayne.
Yep.
But he's a great example of we can be dichotomically different. But what? At the end of the day, we both love football. At the end, and for Raider Nation, at the end of the day, y'all love the Raiders.
Absolutely.
And so again, I'm not saying don't disagree. I'm not saying don't have vehement discussions. I'm not saying, but man, I've watched so much. I call it Raider on Raider crime.
It's at an all-time high. It is at an all-time high.
I wanted, if you don't mind, can I just add one more thing?
Oh no, take your time.
When I got into the Nation, covering Raider Nation, it was Derek and Derek Haters.
Yeah.
Then it was Josh McDaniel, supporters or haters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this to you, and I've learned it as a 52-year-old man. There's always going to be the next issue that divides us.
Right.
As a nation, meaning America.
Yeah.
And as among you guys, Raider fans. And there's always going to be something else. So you make the decision. I'm going to share a great story with you. My father was one of the wisest people that ever walked this earth. And I had a situation in my life where a family member did me wrong. And I was hurt. And well, you know what? I'm gonna use a better one because I need to go back. So my brother was in the Navy, gets back, and I did something wrong to my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. I was wrong. And my brother showed me grace. Years later, my brother had done me wrong, and you could make the argument significantly worse.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad said to me, "Do you remember when you did your brother wrong?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You know what I told him? You're going to probably do him wrong over the years.
Right.
And you don't want him to throw you away." And years later, when my brother did, I'll never forget, I walked up to him and said, "Remember when you did me wrong?" I said, "You earned grace. I love you." And to this day, I'm close to him and I love him. And I just think sometimes people need to approach it that way.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Great story. No, that is great. I know we're running out of time. If you don't mind, I got a couple more questions. Is that okay?
You're my boss. Let's go.
Oh, I appreciate it. So, want to talk about AP.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know there's been a lot of hype about AP. I love what he's done, you know, really rejuvenated the locker room, it seems like, and also just a fan base. But from your standpoint, has there been any difference after losing the 2 games? Even though a lot of us know we lost to 2 teams that are better than us, but in the locker room, has there been any change that you've seen, or are people still feeling the same way they felt after the first 2 wins?
Okay, I'll answer that and not dodge it. But can I ask you a question first?
Yeah.
Because you used the word, and remember, I'm a writer.
Yeah.
So words, you said there's been a lot of hype. When I hear the word hype, to me, it is a false promotion of something fake. Okay. So I don't think that's how you meant it, but we also know lots of people are going to watch.
Yeah.
When people use the word hype, because I'm a wordsmith, that makes me cringe. Because I don't believe there has been any promotion of a false narrative
with him.
So I'm not criticizing you because I know how you meant it.
Yep.
But I know this. I have a very large audience, and I have learned, and you're getting there, but I have learned that people will take one word and blow it out of context.
Right.
So let me say this. I don't believe he's been hyped. I believe he's been fairly promoted.
Love it. Love it.
Okay. And when you use the word hype, I don't think you meant it that way.
Yeah.
But I know there are people using it disrespectfully of AB.
Right. Right.
Okay. So having said that, I want to say this. I do not believe, if I had to give him a grade of how he has done, I'm giving him an A.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make it very clear. I hope he gets a job because I root for good people. Having said that, good teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat.
Absolutely. He's
great teams find ways to beat teams they shouldn't. Good teams find a way to win games when they're not playing good. So let's walk through this for a moment, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
He comes in. transforms it instantly.
Immediately.
He brings fun back.
Yeah.
Okay. Which was not there under Josh.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Give me just a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. And then he beats the Giants. Beats them to a pulp.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what he's supposed to do.
Right.
They suck. Then he goes and beats a Jets team that does not have a good offense, but has a great defense. And beats them. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes on the road to a Miami Dolphin team. Do you notice that I fixed?
Miami, yeah. I was wondering.
I took so much criticism because I called it Miami my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, people were doing memes, and I know that they were being memes, so I'm trying to get anyways, they go down to Miami and against a team that is the best offense in the NFL that put nearly 80 points up on the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
And they beat themselves.
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you, if you weren't there.
I was there.
No, but I'm talking about the critics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Raiders beat themselves. Dolphins didn't beat them.
Mm-hmm.
You may remember the one Tyreek touchdown.
Yeah.
They were coming off the field on third down, but a Raider penalty gave them another chance. Tyreek scored.
Yep.
So that touchdown would have been negated, and other things. It was clearly a game. There was nothing about that game that made me think, "Ooh,
yeah,
Dolphins are a much better team." I don't think they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Then they go play the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Chris, this is where I get in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because Raider fans want me to be a fan. That's the best team in the National Football League. I know they lost to the Eagles at home. I get it. But to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Got to beat him.
Okay?
Got to beat him.
And they go play that team. And if the Raiders wouldn't have run out of steam offensively in the second half, Kansas City was concerned. Raiders had momentum. Okay? So Daniel Carlson misses a field goal that would have eventually had the Raiders up 17-0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you wouldn't, I would have went for the first down. But I understand why AP didn't, because he thought, man, let's get a double-digit lead. Let's give my rookie quarterback a chance to breathe and realize we're up 2 scores.
Yep.
Okay? I would not have done it, but I'm not going to be critical of his decision because I think there was an argument to make for the decision.
Yep.
Okay? They had to throw out 75% of the playbook because they don't have the personnel that Josh wanted.
Right.
And nobody understood it. And, oh, by the way, Aiden was getting third-team reps, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Mini camps, OTAs, whatever. So they have a limited playbook, and they run out of steam because good teams, which the Chiefs are, and by the way, this is the best defense they've had in a long time.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Okay. And if you still go look, Aiden O'Connell had some of the best numbers against the Chiefs of any quarterback on a proven team.
Yeah.
So all of that said, they lose. Now, before the year started, and you can go watch my podcast and go back and check my writing, when the schedule came out, I predicted them to go 9-8. And I said at this point they would be 5-7. After training camp, I always revise my predictions, in which I still had them going 9-8 and 5-7 at this point. They are what we thought they were.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. I want to say this, and I want you to really hear my heart. There is criticism among the football establishment. Oh, no, players can't be coaches. Okay. I think Dan Campbell's proved that to be
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. And then but is AP really a player's coach? because I just saw him bench Marcus Peters, get up in his grill, and cut him and Roddick Teamer the next day.
As he should.
Okay, agreed.
Yeah.
That ain't happening on just a player coach.
Yeah, players coaches aren't doing that. Yeah,
no.
Absolutely.
Okay, I know of situations, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but you will see them in another deep dive article of players. He's ripped. And that's not your traditional player coach. Has he made some rookie mistakes? Now, I am on the record, and I will always feel this way, that the Las Vegas Raiders franchise is one of the most iconic franchises in all of professional sports, in any sport in the world.
Absolutely.
Okay? You don't bring in guys here to learn how to be head coaches. And you say, well, what about Madden? Yup. Madden was great. The Raiders weren't the Raiders of today prior to that. Okay, there is AP's talked about all the pressure, all the media, all of the things you have to do as a head coach that have nothing to do with the game.
Right.
You know, the first time he throws a challenge flag, it was a mistake. So what's he do? He puts a process in place that there's a guy upstairs that tells him throw the flag. So in the last game, he throws the flag and it doesn't get it. That's not on AP.
Yeah.
He's got a guy upstairs.
Yeah, it's a process. Yep.
Right. And so I think there are a lot of people who don't want AP to get this job. I don't think, and I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's because he's black. I don't think that has anything to do with it.
No.
Let me just say this. I think there are some who don't want AP to get the job because he's black, and I think there are some that don't want a white guy to get it because he's white. But that is such a minute percentage of people. I throw them out.
Yeah.
I think there are some people who don't want AP to get the job because the old boy football network is like, no, you got to go back and work your way up here. Go become a coordinator. We don't want that.
Yeah.
I think they want to protect their tribe.
Yeah.
But I think there are some who don't want AP to get it because they have an agenda. They have someone else they want in there. But I am not a fan. AP and I share several very close mutual friends.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one of them, all your listeners know, Braylon Edwards.
Oh,
Braylon Edwards and I are very close. We're like brothers.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be on my podcast next week.
Oh,
and
man.
I think on Wednesday. Now, remember, he played for Harbaugh.
Yeah.
With San Francisco.
Yeah.
He knows Harbaugh as the Michigan coach now. His nephew plays for him.
Yeah.
And he knows AP very well. They're very close friends.
Wow.
You don't want to miss that podcast. But anyways, I'm very close with Braylon. I call his mom Mama. That should tell you how close we are.
Wow. Shout out to Braylon.
Yeah, love him. And so there are some people that don't want AP to get it for whatever reason. AP has done nothing, not one thing, that precludes him, in my opinion, from getting the job.
Right.
And I'm going to say a couple more things that you may find a little controversial. I don't believe you should hire a first-year coach at a job like this. Just like in football at Alabama, you don't go hire a coach with no coaching experience.
Yeah.
Nick Saban in his book writes after he left LSU how he changed as a coach. Nick Saban, when he was a coordinator with the Cleveland Browns for Bill Belichick, didn't deserve Alabama. But he evolved into a coach that did. I have that respect for the Las Vegas Raiders and their shield. Now, let me say something. I support AP, and people have said, well, Hondo always says he doesn't support first-time coaches, so now he's just kissing up to AP in case he gets a job. No, I'm not. AP now has the interim tag. He's got 10 weeks to learn those things.
Right.
So as he's learning about throwing the flag for a challenge, when to take a timeout, when to be aggressive, those are all things any first-year coach.
He's learning now anyway.
If you're holding that against AP, but you want Frank Smith or Ben Johnson, you're a hypocrite.
They're going to go through the same thing.
Correct. Now that he has a 10-week interview, now I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to AP, I don't believe there's been any hype at all. I think it has been all fairly earned praise.
Yeah.
By a man who is a good man, a man who, like Madden, can put his arm around you and eat a turducken
Yeah.
and put a boot in your ass.
Yeah. Yep.
And there, as far as I am concerned, he's done nothing to show me he's not the man.
I love it. I love it.
I want him to get the job. I believe that he's earning it. And I'm going to go a step farther. If things continue on the road that they are, if he doesn't get the job, now, if things fall apart or whatever, that's why I'm saying as long as they continue on the road they are,
it's going to be a problem.
it's not going to be a problem. It's going to be a mutiny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he has been able to unite that fan base. And by the way, will you just tell your listeners, I'm not being disrespectful if you check in a text. Chris knows I'm expecting some very important
texts.
You
might. Yeah, absolutely.
And we may be even breaking a little news here. So
I'd love it.
Did I not warn you before?
You did. You told me.
I just don't want your fans feeling like I'm disrespecting you
or
or
no,
them.
You're good. You're good.
Or them, because they don't deserve it. Okay, so let me say this. If they stick on the road they are and they don't hire them, there's going to be a mutiny. And I'm going to tell you something. Mark Davis learned from the not hiring Rich Bisaccia.
Rich Bisaccia, yeah.
And I believe, I'm trying to pick my words here very carefully. I'm a word guy. I believe if they don't hire him and things continue on the road, there's going to be a lot of angry players. And you may say, I don't care. They get paid. Okay, that's fine. But some of them you want to stay.
Right.
Some of them you want to sign new contracts.
Right.
And if they continues on the road they are, I don't care who's in Mark Davis's ear. I think it's going to be hard for him to move on.
Absolutely. Last thing, you stated something about John Gruden, with Mark Davis probably being I don't want to. So paraphrasing that, Mark Davis would be open to having John Gruden come back.
All right.
And I know that got a lot of people talking. Can you dig in a little deeper with that?
100%. And I appreciate you asking me.
Yeah.
I get angry sometimes, fairly, I believe, because people will take what I write, exert it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you an example. You can go out for a great lobster and prime rib meal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear it for lobster and prime rib.
There you go.
And 2 days later, that lobster and prime rib is no longer something people are going to pay $200 for.
Right.
It's become something of no value that we flush. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Okay. Sometimes people take the meal I give, then digest it, and then try to sell the digestive stuff.
Yeah, it's not the same
as the meal. So let me put it to you this way. I wrote that I have heard from people in the league and one in the building that he trusts him more than any, and that he would love to be able to have him back because he didn't want him to leave the first time. Okay? That's not Hondo saying that.
Right.
Remember, my job is not to create, it's to report. So I get tons of flack. Quit spreading these rumors. You're just trying to sell the name. No, I'm not. I'm telling you what the people around Mark and in the league believe.
Right.
That's my job.
Right.
If I'll give you a great one. When the Gruden emails came out, I had people wailing on me. You woke, left wing, whatever. You're only going after John to destroy him. To which I said, did I write the emails? And did I call for him to be fired because of the emails? No.
Mm-mm.
Did the emails cost him his job? Yes.
Yep.
So I'm reporting on the situation. I'm not creating.
Right.
Okay. Same principle here. Everyone I talk to knows, and I know this, Mark loves John. It's one of his best friends.
Yeah.
John had to go. Had to. But I reported months ago, well over a year ago, when John filed his lawsuit, that there were many that believed if it got to a trial, Roger Goodell was going to lose his job.
Mm-hmm.
Now all the courts have upheld it, and they're going now to the discovery process.
It could get ugly.
Now national media, who once mocked me for reporting that
can get ugly.
Now the same national media are saying there's a lot of fear in the NFL about this lawsuit. Okay. John Gruden's own lawyer, and by the way, I did not hear it, but it was told to me by either Adam Hill of the Las Vegas Review-Journal or Willie Ramirez of the AP. I don't remember which, but I wasn't there to hear it, but one of them told me this. That John Gruden's attorney in court turned to the NFL and says, we'll drop the lawsuit if you let him coach again. I believe if they don't go with AP and the NFL says, all right, you drop your lawsuit, we'll let you back in, that John Gruden, and let me just say, and other people around the league and in the building think he instantly becomes one of the viable top candidates. Ooh. Because of the relationship Mark Davis has with him. So I did report that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know. Maybe Mark would say, no, you know what? It's in the past. I'm just reporting, though, what the people in the situation believe, and that's my job. So, yeah, I did report that, and I hope that puts context to it.
No, it does. It does. I'm glad you said that.
You know what's amazing? I wrote that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you did.
People want to take the 2-day-old prime rib and lobster.
Yeah, you did. You absolutely did. Absolutely.
They don't judge the chef 2 days later.
Exactly. Well, Hondo, man, I appreciate you so much, man. I really appreciate you stopping by. You told me how busy you were, and I know we kind of talked months ago about, trying to make this happen, man. But as someone that actually has a communications degree, I absolutely love you, what you do, the type of work you do. And again, I love how you keep it real. You're not a fan, but you give us the news and you let us digest it, how we need to digest it, so, thank you for all that you do for the nation. I'm sure you hear that a lot, but I just want to let you know, I absolutely am honored to have you on here today.
No, I can assure you, I don't hear it a lot. You should read some of the emails I get. But I want to just say this because I'm not a fan, but I want people to know where I come from.
Yeah.
I root for good people. And I've covered a lot of teams. And top to bottom, I've not covered a team with as many good people as the Raiders.
Nice.
And down to the janitors, up to Mark Davis, players. Right now, and I have to be careful how I say this because I really don't want you to know who I'm talking about, but I can say now, today, there is not one person in this organization that I don't think is a good person. Okay? I have never covered a team where I could say that. And so while I am not a Raider fan, I don't root against them.
Yeah.
I want them to do well. I have a lot of friends that work for the Raiders. I want them to be successful. So when I say I'm not a fan, I'm not. But it doesn't mean I hate them or I have an agenda. I want you to hear me. I want them to win and do well.
Yeah.
Because they're good people, and I root for good people. That's why I'm on your show, Chris.
I really appreciate it, man. So thank you so much. I hope you feel better. You know, I know you're kind of getting over that sickness. You know, and I know you got a very busy day today, but thank you again for all that you do for us. And, you know, again, you know, keep up the good work. You know, we're definitely behind you, man.
Well, I appreciate you. Appreciate all your friends in the syndicate. I don't know who they are, but I appreciate Raider Nation. And I just want to say, you guys are my bosses. And I respect you, and I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for watching, clicking, reading, subscribing, following. And you guys matter to me. And I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, from my family to all of you, Merry Christmas, and thank you for supporting us.
Awesome. Thanks, Hondo, man. You take care. You have a good rest of your day, man.
You too, buddy. God bless
All
you.
right. Bless you.